Hello everyone and welcome back to IMO Reviews, continuing with those movies that I probably should have seen by now and just haven't. Well, today we're discussing Being John Malkovich, directed by Spike Jonze and starring John Cusack, Cameron Diaz, Catherine Keener, and John Malkovich. A struggling puppeteer gets a new copying job on the 7th floor of a bizarre corporate building, where he unintentionally finds a portal that allows you to see the world through the eyes of famous actor John Malkovich. Yep, little bit of a weird synopsis, I know. Let's get into it, starting with the positives. Wow, what a uniquely brilliant but wacky idea for a movie, and it wasn't at all what I was expecting. I mean, the film's called Being John Malkovich. I did half expect John Malkovich to be the main character, but no. And that's a praise that I can give to the entire film. It never took an expected turn, not even once, and I was just putty in its hands, waiting to see what it was going to do and where it was going to go. And it builds and comes together wonderfully, raising your curiosity throughout and asking little questions, and it does have little pieces of comedy throughout the film that will catch you off guard and make you laugh. And this is very much retrospectively on my part, and I wonder how people would have taken it at the time, but it was fascinating to see how much this film has inspired many other films that have come since then. I wish I could claim this as my own discovery. Sadly, it was my much smarter partner, Mrs. IMO, who said it. But nonetheless, she brought up a lot of comparisons and similarities to Jordan Peele's horror hit, Get Out. Not only is Catherine Keener in both, which is possibly a nod from Jordan Peele in casting Catherine Keener, but again, it's that idea of being in somebody else's body, the extension of life despite the sacrifice of others, that wanting to be a specific person because of a specific trait that they have that you might not have. This sort of human instinctual nature to cut corners and cheat rather than actually grow and develop ourselves. The performances here are really good too. I'm a big fan of John Cusack. I think he's criminally underrated. Room 1408, check it out, you won't be disappointed. He's amazing in it, as is Samuel L. Jackson. But back to the point, there are such small details in his performance that really deepen his character. The way he keeps a soft tone but speaks more rapidly, showing that he's quite short on confidence, but this problem is boiling his blood, and he might not have the social skills to translate that and find a solution for his issues. The way he will play with his hair and fix his glasses, he's quite fidgety. It comes across that he needs control of things. And I also noticed at a later stage in the movie that John Cusack's character seems to have developed a bit of a hunch, and I think that's intentionally from him spending too much time on the 7th floor. I love seeing these little details from actors. I like seeing their brain put together an idea of who this character is that they're playing and bringing it to life, and I just think John Cusack smashed that out the park with this one. But he's not the only one. Cameron Diaz is also brilliant in this movie. I would argue she has the hardest role in the film. And of course, how can we not talk about the main man himself, John Malkovich? First of all, good on him for being such a good sport. I imagine there are plenty of actors out there who would receive a script like this and they would be pretentiously offended by it. But John Malkovich actually seemed somewhat enthralled by it. He's clearly having so much fun in every role he has to deliver, even though he just sort of has to be himself. I know this sounds strange, but I don't think this would work anywhere near as well had you have picked a different actor. And despite the film clearly focusing more on the energy and the fun, wacky nature of its plot, there is definitely something smarter going on beneath the surface here. The actual social study of the idea of why people would want to be somebody else, why they aren't happy with who they are, how manipulative people can be towards each other for their own gain. These are the points that Being John Malkovich hits home. But sadly, I do have a few complaints. I'm sorry. The biggest one for me is that I just found the characters to be really unlikable, and I often found their relationships a little bit confusing, certainly messy. Some of the character details very much feel like an afterthought added to make another aspect of the film seem more believable. Cameron Diaz works with animals, and the only reason she seems to be working with animals is so that the pet monkey can be there to untie her, because Well, without that monkey, she really would have just been stuck and probably died of hunger and dehydration, and we wouldn't have been able to progress the story. Or the fact that John Cusack's character is a puppeteer, and then he gets a copy job. Yeah, there's translatable experience between those two jobs. But clearly the puppetry thing is just there to explain how John Cusack's character has the ability to manipulate John Malkovich, unlike the others. Again, convenient. And I must admit I did find the ending a little bit unsatisfying, simply because there really shouldn't be any winners in this situation. None of these characters were good people. I mean, Catherine Keener's character might as well be the devil woman itself. And yet the plot suddenly decides for the audience that actually that's not the case, despite the depiction of these characters. Only John Cusack was the bad one apparently, and he has to suffer while everyone else gets a happy ending. And that is the only real issue that I have with the film that brings it down a bit. Had I liked these characters more, had I been a bit more invested in their plight and actually wanted them to succeed, I think I would have enjoyed the film even more than I did. So I'm going to give Being John Malkovich an 8 out of 10. This is a remarkably unique film that's hugely entertaining, with its witty, unmistakable humour, as well as its much quieter, thought-provoking ideas that seem to quietly hum along in the background. It's a brilliant idea that constantly expands and deepens with your own thought applied to it as well. It's a clever film, it's a rewarding film, and it's certainly going to leave you with something to talk about. Thank you for watching this review. Please be sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and please do hit the comment section as well. Have you seen Being John Malkovich? What do you think about it? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you haven't had enough of the mad rants of a ginger, you can always click on Lee's suggested videos here and get lost in an IMO wormhole. Stay safe out there, people. But if not, take care, and I look forward to seeing you on the next review.